Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ascension Diaries YouTube channel. This is another podcast episode, and today I have a beautiful guest with a beautiful name, and I'm very honored to have her as she has been a suggestion by one of our other guests. Our dear Matthew Mornian came on and was like, you know what, who you need next? You need Barbara. You need Barbara Buck on the show. And I was like, okay, I want to know about it. I want to hear about healing modalities. So please, if you'd like to introduce yourself, let us know something about you and we'll get into some of the questions.
My name's Sister. I'm, like Alexis said, my name is Barbara Buck, and we are no relation that we know of. We're not really sure. We don't know. I do have family in Canada. It's a mystery, though. We could be like half sisters or something. Who knows? I am a energy medicine practitioner, basically. And so I have been doing some form of healing work or another since 2000. And right now I'm practicing, I do reconnective healing, which is a kind of not very many people know about that modality. We can talk about it later. And then I also do energy attachment release, etheric implant removals, trauma release, and soul shard retrieval. I do this really cool type of appointment that helps people to clear their abundance channels from blocks. It's not just abundance channels, it's your creative aspect of yourself. So actually cleaning and clearing all of the programming that is creating dead energy in your field and making it living and organic again, especially with regards to trying to create things for yourself, health, wellness, abundance, money, whatever you want, career, all that kind of stuff. What else do I do? I do intuitive development. I do a lot of intuitive development. I have a super awesome website called thehappyempath.com, which is designed for empaths and and I do empath development sessions to teach them how to kind of firm up their field, to learn what's theirs and what's not theirs, which is kind of a really big deal for starseeds for sure, and people going through the ascension process as people vibrate at a higher frequency to become more and more sensitive to a multitude of different things, specifically also with becoming sensitive to other people's emotions and then taking it on and absorbing it like a little sponge and getting sick and getting depressed and all the other wonderful things that happens. It's also kind of a big problem with ascension symptoms when you're absorbing everybody else's stuff. And also, when you get more sensitive, you just feel it more naturally. So I think that's it for now. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know later.
Well, it's definitely
that's currently what I'm doing.
It's
something
a big,
at a moment's notice.
You're constantly expanding and finding new things that you can help sort of ease the process of, I guess, and get those energy flows. We're like, there's energy blockages here, 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 here. Here, let me figure out how to tweak that for you.
Yeah, because it's really, really what everything that kind of ails us, I love how Eric Rains calls it natural humanity, our natural state of being is clean and clear and vibrating high, but we have all this kind of inorganic dead energy, whether we've created it ourselves or we got, we're picking it up from somewhere else. It's really, it's a kind of a problem because we have almost scheduled downloads that happen for a lot of us, and we have to be ready for them. And if you're not, it can really put you into a tailspin. So when you're trying to do your mission work, even just trying to live your life from day to day, it's really hard sometimes when you have all of this kind of dead energy that's not moving the way and flowing the way that it should be. So, it's hard for starseeds for us to be in our bodies. And that's part of the reason is because we have all this dead energy. But the reality of the human being, even in 3D and material form, is very high vibration. It's very fluid flow of energy. So it's one of my goals and one of my reasons for being here is not just to help other people to kind of transmute that dead energy into a higher frequency, but to also teach other people how to do it, not only for themselves, but to be a teacher, meaning the people that are coming up in their 20s and their 30s right now, because all the kids that are being born right now, they are all serious, hardcore starseeds. And we need to do what we can to be ready when they're like teenagers. It's going to be, they're going to have gifts and skills and superpowers that we only wish we had, you know. So we need to make sure that we're going to be able to kind of help them to become their best, you know, their best selves and vibrate at the highest frequency that they can, you know. You already see it now in little kids like 4 or 5. They're so powerful. It's insane. And they're all like natural healers, you know. It's crazy. You just touch a dog and the dog's like fixed, you know. But you can use all that stuff for good and for evil. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, it's crazy to me how there is such a giant population of people who are becoming energetically sensitive, and that, you know, these blockages are becoming more obvious. And I wish it was like common knowledge, the sort of things that you're teaching. I wish this was more openly available. And in that sort of the process that you're watching unfold, I'm assuming, and in your teaching of the teachers, because there really is such a huge shift going on, and people really do need to have these tools in order to become their human, natural, energetic sort of being, because there's just so many distortions, and it's almost coveted information. A lot of healers put it behind paywalls and things like that, where it's like, I understand why people do that. But I'm happy to do this podcast with people who are talented and have done all this research and experience, because I think there's so much to be gained from the tips and hints that all the healers have to give. So I was curious if, just from your experience, what you would like give to the audience, being like, this is sort of the things you can do to help clear these blockages and help your energetic system without having to go like super in depth and super precise per person.
There's tons of stuff. Gold frequency healing is literally just basically what you're doing is you're creating, you know, you are a super awesome energy generator, you know, and there's super awesome energy fields that are being beamed to us right now that are very easy. Everybody has access to them. You just have to kind of know they're there and become aware. And so, you know, without going into like a big 45-minute conversation about it, because that's like a whole, you know, that's like a whole session right there of helping people to tap into them. Really, you know, really what these fields do is they help us to connect to our higher self and our source connection and our own innate wisdom, you know. So, you know, when you clean and clear all this stuff, it becomes really easy to just start create. You can also create energy within yourself that you can tap into and move it around your body to clean and clear any blocks. So energy work is a big part of it. It doesn't have to be with somebody else. It can definitely be with, you know, just yourself and learning how to do it online. But it does help sometimes when you start talking about the etheric realm and all of the kind of energies that do exist there that can wreak a little bit of havoc on you. Then, you know, and the whole parasitic construct thing, which is a whole nother issue, dealing with that stuff and kind of dissolving or healing that, all of that stuff is really super helpful. And that's something that people can do on their own too. Doing trauma healing for yourself, because all of these dense blocks that we have in our bodies are caused by stuck emotion, old situations that have not ever been addressed, you know. And going through this process of self-healing work is really important too. I know I'm jumping around a lot, but a big issue that I have with the healing community, that I've always had with the healing community, is the love light thing. I think love is everything, and that's the only way you can truly heal is when you start loving yourself and you start loving everything around you, even if it's causing you harm. But, you know, that takes time to get there. You know, if somebody's beating the snot out of you and they're causing you harm, it's really hard to say, you know what, I love you. I love you anyway. That takes a lot of work and a lot of time to get to that point. You can't fake it till you make it with that stuff. So saying that, you know, stuffing down your emotions and stuffing down the hard stuff, the shadow stuff, is what got us into this mess to begin with. You have to start being honest with yourself. And the one thing that I noticed with the healing community, that was really prevalent, you know, when you showed your dark side, when you really came out and said, this is what's going on with me, or confess that you maybe are a healer who's having health issues, you know, all this other stuff, you have to pretend like it's not happening. And that's not healthy. So a big part of staying healthy and clear and vibrating higher is knowing yourself. Okay, so learning about yourself, knowing all the deep, dark little places, even past life stuff, off-world stuff that might have happened to you. I have a lot of off-world memories. So there's a lot of stuff, you know, a lot of stuff that happened, some good, some not so good, just the little memories that I have. So my higher self brings me wherever I need to go when I need to do my healing work, if something comes up to me, whether it's physical or emotional. So, you know, another thing is really getting connected to your body and your 3D space, as above, so below, and recognizing that we all have to become embodied souls, meaning you're in 3D for a reason. And that's a really hard one for starseeds. It's really, really hard because this is such a dense layer of energy, isn't it? Like your 3D self, it's so dense and it's so hard to be here sometimes. So learning how to become more embodied, being more physical, that kind of thing. Gosh, there's so much. Learning healthy boundaries, learning healthy energetic boundaries, learning how to use your psychic abilities properly so that you can recognize when something is going on. You know, that's a big one too. There's so much stuff that you need. It's a process, you know.
And would you say, a process of awareness and just also being aware that these are sort of things that are occurring and are potential, like these, you're aware of these emotions that you're having, and you're aware of these memories, and you're aware of how you're feeling, and aware that you're not being in your body more, you're disassociating because of whatever. So if you're now gaining some sort of awareness, and then to be able to bring yourself into a time and space of strength again, of affirmative action, in a way, you're saying that you can do energy work. So would that be like some sort of exercises like Qigong and meditation and things like that? You would that's sort of where you would direct people to try and keep their own.
Qigong is really great, but you also have to become. Qigong is really great for moving energy in the first layers of your field. So what you're doing is you're just moving it through the meridian flow. But human beings are huge. Okay, this is just the densest layer of my field right here. This is 3D, this hair and everything. It just goes out and out and out, and it gets less dense, less dense, less dense, less dense, and less dense until your feet, you're big. So this is just the part that we've decided and agreed upon seeing right now. So Qigong is great because when it comes to like implants and parasites and things like that are in the etheric realm, it's really easy for them to attach to your meridians and to the densest portion of your field. So keeping that clear is really fantastic, but it's not everything. Going through and doing energy work where you're actually there's a lot of different ways. Eric Rains has a good one. He has a good video out there where he has you make chi balls. And then you put them in your body. So you generate chi balls and you put them in your hand and you play around with them, and then you infuse them with gold light. And then you put them wherever you feel like something might be, making gold hands and kind of pulling things off with gold hands, or clearing. There's all these techniques. Lisa Renee has, I don't know, do you know who she is? Energetic synthesis. Yeah. What's that? AscensionGlossary.com. That thing is awesome. I get lost in the Ascension Glossary, because it has all these links. So you just go from the other to the other. I'll be I've been on this thing for 4 hours. What? So she has this really cool technique where she uses what she calls the aurora beam, which is it's silver, gold, aquamarine blue. That's our color, baby. Mm-hmm. And because we're blue people, both of us. violet and violet, gold, aquamarine, and then silver. And so you use this beam of energy. She has you pretend like you have a flashlight in your hand, and you look at yourself from outside of yourself. So you pretend like you're standing in front of your etheric body, and you start flashing this flashlight with all these colors in it up and down, and finding denser parts of your field that you can kind of clear and dissolve and all this stuff. That's another, I've played around with that one lately. I really like it. I kind of want to try it on a client, because it seems like it might be a really helpful way to, you know, find stuff. There's always like new things that I'm finding on people. So it's like I have to keep adjusting what I'm doing, because the energy is shifting and changing so fast. And as we vibrate higher and higher and higher, and we go into higher layers, everything changes a little bit. So you're constantly having to intuit new ways to deal with new weird things that you find in the etheric realm that need to be healed. And then even the physical body. The physical body at this point for me is pretty easy. I just use gold light, you know, and kind of move stuff around. So, but for people to do it personally, it's those are just a few different ways that you can do things.
Well, definitely the golden frequency and the retreat that Eric Rains does out. I've always wanted to go, and I know I'm going to be able to eventually, because I'd love to be amongst other people who have more experience with this and get some sort of just to be able to witness it and view it and kind of help me remember it for myself. But I really like the way that you mentioned all of the extra bodies, and then how each of the shifts were sort of going into, it's a constant kind of recalibration that can have things that are out of alignment. And I'd be so down if you wanted to shoot that flashlight of all the aurora ray or whatever you're mentioning.
Totally.
That's a trigger word for me. When you said that, I was just like, oh man, that word, that particular name and word has been following me around a lot. So
has it?
Yeah.
The word aurora. That's awesome.
Yes, we were believing.
It was like this weird, obscure thing. So like when I first knew that I could do implant removal, I didn't even know what implants were. It was about 5 years ago.
Right.
And I was doing reconnective healing on a client, which is basically you're just kind of waving, you're playing with this frequency of energy, and you can feel it between your hands. So you play with it and you focus on your client. You like try to find something attractive or that you like about your client. So you just, while you're playing with the frequency, you kind of connect them to it by playing with it and focusing on them. Reconnective is a very cool, weird modality. And then they entrain up to this frequency, and then they just start absorbing it. And then after like 10 or 15 minutes, I could just go make a sandwich or whatever, but I stay and I play with it and I watch them. And I was playing with it, and all of a sudden I intuited like this weird band around her waist. And the deal was with this lady is that she was a Reiki master. She'd been a Reiki master for, 7 or 8 years. And all of a sudden, every time she would try to do energy work on somebody, she would start shaking like this. Like her whole body would start shaking, like intense, to the point of where it was so extremely uncomfortable that she had to get a regular job and stop doing energy healing. I was like, that is so weird. So she was like, can I try the reconnective? I want to see what's going on. And I started working on her, and she's like shaking like crazy. And I saw this thing around, so I asked my guides that I was working with. They were healing guides that I worked with. And I said, what is that? And they said, it's an implant. I was like, oh, okay. I've never heard of one. I didn't know what it was. And I said, well, can I get rid of it? And they're like, yeah, sure. And I said, how? And so all of a sudden they just like coated my hands with this aquamarine blue color. It was like electric, like aquamarine. And I just like zapped it, and it just like popped off and then dissolved. And I was like, wow, that was super cool. And then all of a sudden she stopped shaking. And she was like, I was like, whoa. And she laid there for the next 20 minutes and had the first healing that she'd been able to do in like 2 years. She couldn't even get on the table. She couldn't channel Reiki to work on somebody else. And she couldn't receive it either. She just kept trying, you know. She was a healer for a long time. Totally fixed the problem. Still to this day, it fixed the problem. So, and what really sucks is that probably about 3 weeks later, I ended up in the hospital. And so I started playing around with it, and I ended up in the hospital. It wasn't even that long, maybe 2 weeks. I almost died. And I had found out I have Graves' disease, which is causes hyperthyroidism. And I guess like my thyroid broke and it just started gushing out all these chemicals. It was like overdosing on speed. So I went into like, I started having like, I started feeling like super anxious and I thought I was having a heart attack or something, which I thought that's not possible. Like I'm so healthy. Like last time I went to the doctor, he's like, you're like a 20-year-old. How do you even do it? And I literally, I thought I was going to die. I was in the parking lot and I was able to call 911 and they rushed me to the emergency room. Nobody knew what was wrong. They thought I was overdosing on speed.
Wow.
So yeah, and then they found out I had this really rare event that the guy had only seen one other time in 20 years called a thyroid storm, where your thyroid breaks and just gushes chemicals. It's like all this adrenaline was running through my body. It was literally making me go into cardiac arrest. So so I had, and there's a point to this. So I was like, that is crazy. You know, and I had a really hard time for a couple of years. I just couldn't get right. And I mean, I've been a healer for a long time. I take care of myself really well. I eat great food. I do yoga. I exercise every day. I take care of my emotional health, my spiritual health, everything. So it didn't make sense how sick. And then I thought, well, maybe it's just Ascension symptoms. You know, this is a genetic disease. My grandmother had it. I think both my grandmothers had it actually. So like, you know, maybe it just kicked in, but still it's kind of weird. Of all the people who are unhealthy in my family, I got it. That's weird. So it was really hard. And then I went into remission and everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, like it reversed and I got super hypothyroids, meaning like my metabolism totally died. And I started having these dizzy spells where I was literally like could barely stand up because I was so dizzy. And I went to a neurologist, I went to a cardiologist, I went to an inner ear specialist. I mean, it was literally, I would be on the bed for like 3 days. Like, just like, I don't know if you've ever been so drunk that you're like you just have to hold on to the floor because that's what it felt like every day. And I couldn't get up. Like I would have to crawl to the bathroom.
Oh.
So, and then it just kind of went away on its own. And then probably like almost 2 years ago, it started again. Like, oh my God. And I'm like, I can't live like this. I can't work. I can't do what I need to do. I started taking writing jobs just to make a little extra money, of which I've been supporting myself as a healer for a long time. And then I saw Eric Rains on Michelle Walling in 5D. I think it's called in 5D. And he was talking about etheric implants. And I was like, I looked at him and he looked like, for some reason I recognized him. I'm like, that's my little brother. That was what the thought in my head. I go, that's my little brother. Like before he even said anything, I just like instantly knew he was like part of my family. Right. You know, Matthew the same way. The second I saw Matthew, I was like, yep, that's my other little brother. So I got an appointment with him and he just pulled some stuff off of me. And I was like, as soon as he pulled off I had a filter. A lot of us have filters on our crown chakras and third eye chakras and stuff that are put there specifically to kind of make it harder for us to be able to really super connect in and dial into our channel, you know. And I could channel stuff. I was channeling a lot of information, but I had to kind of really start to work at it. Like it got kind of intense. As soon as he pulled everything off, the dizziness went away, all that kind of stuff went away. And I also knew how to do the work. So it was like, he didn't teach me how to do the work. I just knew it was like, I got a download like the next morning I woke up and I just started doing the work for other people. So I was like, okay, this is part of it. This is part of my process of opening up to this whole reality that I never really wanted to look at before. Because the world is a hard place anyway. You know, I have a lot of weird memories about mind control stuff and, you know, like my lab things. And I'm one of those people. I didn't know what all that stuff was until a couple of years ago when I started hearing about all the disclosure stuff and everything. I really started to go, oh, okay. And then trying to figure out my role in all of this stuff and recognizing the healing aspect of it, which is really lacking. It's really missing in it. Is really important. I'm like, okay, this is why I'm starting to get connected to all these people that are really into this stuff, because this like people like Eric and people like me and Matthew, you know, and you, if you would start doing your energy work, lady.
I need help. Somebody show me what I'm supposed to do.
I will help you. We'll do trades. We can do trades if you want, because I love a good card reading. I love a good card reading, and I love like just talking about stuff, and I'm always talking to everybody else, like everybody else is always talking to me and bending my ear, and I'm always like, I never get to sit and talk about myself and stuff, so that's nice.
That is the healer's plight, you know.
I want to talk about me.
You know it well.
We'll do a trade. If you want to learn, you know, whatever you want from me, I'm happy to share it with you.
I would love to have some help, maybe pull some things off of me, because I've definitely been feeling it. I'm just like, I wanted to see you guys and be with you guys, because I was like, I really have had to step over that boundary and ask for help. And that's another big thing about seeking out help, is like seeing that you're worth it, and that, you know, other people can help you. You don't have to do it all yourself. There's people who are here to specifically help you with these things, and then you're here to do other things, but we're supposed to work as a team.
That's it. We're the ground crew, man.
Yeah.
You know, so like as the ground crew, you know, you don't work alone. You have to work together. And that was really hard for me. And, but I'll be honest with you. I've been a really high frequency healer for a long time. And so most people's healing work doesn't work on me. It's not because they're not incredible healers. It's because I'm configured in a way that's weird. I'm not normal. So my soul body is a weird soul body. Everybody who can see it is like, whoa, it's huge. It's like a weird, you know, it's not a normal soul body. So and just, I don't feel energy from other people a lot, meaning I'm super empathic, but when people are sharing their specific modality with me, I tend to not really feel the energy for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because I've run so many different frequencies through my body that it's like second nature. But because of that, I don't like to allow a lot of people to work on me also. Because it's kind of a waste of time, it's a waste of money, and everything. So when I did squad, we called us squad one. We were the first kind of group of 33 people that met together with Eric and Sierra. Eric was basically, he didn't really teach us anything. We just did really super cool. We did Qigong. We had this routine we did every morning. We did Qigong. We did yoga. We did breathing, Wim Hof breathing. A bunch of other stuff just to kind of turn us into like super energy machines. And then we talked a lot with each other. And every single person in that group of 33, I would not only allow to work on me, but we've become a very small group of people who we really rely on each other. Like they're the first, like Matt and Eric would literally be, Eric's so busy at this point. Mr.
Yes.
G Church the other day. He's like so busy. So sometimes we'll text back and forth and stuff like that. And we work on each other because Eric still, you know, we work on each other too. But they will, you know, but I'll work with any of them. Those are like my go-to guys though, really honestly. Mostly Matt, but mostly Matt comes to me, get it off me, you know. I went to this disclosure thing and I came back and I'm invested. Like every time, man. He's gonna be so mad at me for saying that.
We bring them back so we can
Shield
get rid of
up
them for other people.
Huh?
We'll bring them back. We take them on, and then we'll take care of it.
That's what and you know, that's not healthy. It's just not healthy. Well, you have fun, like you see your soul family there and you have such a good time, and you don't really put up the things that you need to put up when you go into a situation like that, because you have a lot of interference at those events. So you have to be, you know, really clear when you go in there and making sure that you're energetically healthy so that you don't pick stuff up. Because I swear to you, I personally love disclosure events, because all of a sudden my clients, my clients go up like by 400% my bookings after those things. Everybody's like, you know, help. So my big thing though is teaching people how to take care of themselves. I don't want people to coming to me all the time. I want them to come to me for different stuff. So like what happens is I'll have a client. It's like my husband, you know, he uses dogs as a Trojan horse kind of a thing to actually help people to realize that healing is, it's, you know, it's a real thing. If it works, if a dog has a miraculous healing, it's not psychosomatic. It's not made up. I mean, if a dog's like dying of heart disease and then it doesn't have heart disease 2 hours after you work on the dog, that's like, you know, so he'll send clients to me, I'll do healing work, and the dog will have like some crazy miraculous healing. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I want do me now. So it's like a Trojan horse. So then I'll do an etheric implant removal on them. Then I'll do a couple reconnectives, and then they want to do intuitive development. And then they end up becoming healers. That's my favorite client right there. I love that because I have a frustration with the healing community, this lack state that they're all in, where they don't want to give their secrets away because God forbid, you know, there's not enough to go around. Are you kidding me? You know?
That's what I was saying. I was like, there's too much. There's not enough.
There's so many people, but you also there's a lot of healers out there who are very disempowering, and they're like, you need to come and see me a couple of times a month, I disagree with that. Like, come to me, I'll work on you, I'll do a removal on you, and I'll help you to clear this stuff from yourself. And then, you know, we can teach you how to do it for yourself. And then when you're starting to feel really clear and comfortable, we can teach you how to do it on other people if you want to, like your friends and your family or your pets. And then if you feel really comfortable, then let's get you going, man. It's not for everybody because it puts you in a not a great situation. You get on a lot of radars when you start doing this work. I've always been a healer that has never thought of or worried about that kind of stuff. Like, I didn't even shield. There's no reason to. Like, I never got attacked. I never got that I knew of. Now I know differently. It's all a big lie. But you know, it puts you in a position where there are energies out there, both non-human and human, who don't like what we do. So you know, because we cause a lot of problems, we don't always just do, you know, we have a little small team. We go and we do stuff out there in the etheric realm because the whole kind of way that everything's set up here, the whole false matrix system that's set up here, you know, it's getting equally difficult, you know, kind of off-world stuff going on and etheric realm stuff going on. It's all part of the same issue. You know, all of the horrible stuff that goes on this planet, it's all to feed etheric realm energies. So it's like ultimately not, you know, once they start to kind of become aware of you as becoming a problem, then it's like a whole nother issue. So doing etheric realm work is not always for everybody, but it certainly is for people who are going to do their own self-clearing and things like that. You know, keeping yourself clear. You know, we're all sovereign. We all have the right to, you know, be free of all of this stuff, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And when I first learned about attachments and these implants and things like that, that can be placed into your huge, whatever layers of your energetic body, your whole body, your human self, I think I might have been disheartened a little just to know that something like that can happen to you without your permission and without you really knowing about it. And it can stifle you your entire life. And so
Yes.
That's why I'm very passionate about learning more about this.
It puts you in a victim state. And here's the catch-22 is when you're in a victim state, you become like a tasty snack. You know, these energies, they can only feed off of denser energy, dead energy. And we create dead energy when we stay out of alignment with our higher self's greatest wishes for us, when we pop out of alignment or we pop out of the timeline that is, you know, in alignment with what we came here to do. And our higher self's greatest wish for us is to be in a state of divine love and to be in a state of non-judgment. And so when we veer off the path, because we all do, because we're all human, it's hard in a body that has all of these emotions and stuff, and we're not honest. We don't honestly express ourselves. We don't honestly express our emotions. We hide a lot of stuff. It's we create a lot of what they call loosh, which is this denser energy, and that's what these entities feed off of. So it's kind of like, they're kind of like loosh farmers. They see us as these balls of light. This is what my experience of, there's a couple of times when I've done a removal, I'm always very loving to these entities, because a lot of times, believe it or not, they just don't know that there's something else out there. They have never seen their own highest self. They've never seen their connection to source. Even though they're considered dead energy, these things, and a lot of people think that they're AI created, depending on what story you're buying into, they still deserve love and respect and honor, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, that's my way of doing things. I don't want to go in there. When I first started doing this, I went in there like with swords, like, I'm goddess warrior, take it out. So I was totally like Xena warrior princess or Wonder Woman going in there with my gold light body, shielding up. But now it's kind of like I go in there, I'm like, hey, no, this is not okay. So you have a choice. I'm going to bring you to this place, and you can go willingly. You can go the easy way or the hard way. You get to choose, but you're going there. And when you go there, you're going to actually get to see your best self. So I've always liked that. And because what happens is we can become victims. There's this polarity that happens. It's us versus them. It's good versus evil. It's light team, dark team. It's all this stuff. And that whole polarized thing that's going on is the problem to begin with. So that polarization is what started all this. This is why we're having all of the problems that we're having. So going into it with a little bit of maybe a more loving mindset and being less angry, because anger feeds the entities. Stuffed down emotions feed the entities. So I can't pretend like I'm not feeling something, because that feeds it too. Just becoming a more balanced, healthy person, both energetically, whatever, and being less judgmental, both towards yourself and other people. Anyway, a couple of times when I work doing a removal, I'll actually get an entity who attached to the person specifically, so that it could find somebody like me to help it to move on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so they'll give me information sometimes. And the way that they showed me how they see us is they see us as this energy. And there's these denser portions of energy. And they know that those denser portions of energy, they can latch onto it and they can feed from it. So they energetically feed from it. I mean, they are parasitic, like a tick or something, but they have more intelligence than a tick does. And so what they'll do is over the years that this has been going on, thousands of years or however longer even, they realize that if they do something here, then it creates more loosh here. So that's where the implants come in. So what they'll do is they'll actually find a spot in your field that's got denser energy. Say, maybe it's around my throat, because I always have throat stuff I'm always dealing with. So I have denser energy here. They'll clamp on something to cause pain or to block flow or to do whatever, to kind of make me generate more loosh that they can feed off of. So they can also create loop cycles. So when you do your shadow work or whatever, and you find that there's this thing, you have the same thing, and it's like, how you talk about layers of an onion. It's like, oh, I have this one issue I'm always dealing with. I thought I dealt with that already. I thought this was done. Why is this coming into my life again? Mm-hmm. Why? I did it. And then you have to do it over again and over again and over again and over again. That they can actually create that within you by putting on an implant that creates a loop cycle that you cannot get out of. You get stuck energetically and you cannot move past it. So the reason that they do that is to feed for more energy. The whole crazy taking over of humanity stuff that everybody talks about, that's probably not crazy at all, and the reptilians and all this kind of stuff, it's all to feed a big machine. It's all to create negative energy. That's what it is. So like you can go and you can take out all of the pedophilia rings you want to. There's just going to be more generated until we deal with this on an etheric layer, because it's completely symbiotic. So that has to change. So there's a lot of us who are starting to really realize that and go, okay, wait, we can fix all this stuff in 3D, but we have to address it in, you know, in the etheric realms, in the fourth level realities. We have to, because that's kind of like a big part of what's causing the problem. Are we not energetically healthy? No, we're not. That's also a big part of the problem. You've got 99% of the humanity is not awake yet. So it's like going through this process of, and even the ones that are starting to wake up, they're only waking up to the 3D reality of the situation. They're not waking up to the energetic aspect of it. And it takes a while for people to get there and start to go, wait a second. Okay, this is also a problem we have to deal with, because a lot of people can't handle it. It's really hard. It's scary. It's scary to think about that you have all these little guys like, you know, like a little baby bottle the top of your head.
It's scary and kind of disturbing, honestly.
It is and it isn't, because you recognize, once you realize it, you realize you actually have way more control over it than you think you do. You know, I might not have control over walking down the street and somebody slamming into me with their car, but I sure as have control over this. And the more personal work I do on myself, the more self-healing I do, and the more I learn about myself and who I am as a spirit, and the more I start loving myself and being less judgmental, the less problems I have with this stuff. Now at this point, it's impossible for anything to attach to me. It can absolutely try to contain me. That happens all the time. I'll wake up like, what is that? I ask my husband, I'm like, what? There's something weird going on. He's like, oh, you have a container around your field. I'm like, again? So now I have to work on that issue. Why am I putting myself in a box? Like, if it's possible for them to put a container around me, it's because there's something going on in here. It's because I'm allowing it on some level. Is it my fault they put a container on me? No, I didn't ask for that. But they're taking advantage of the situation of me not knowing myself very well. That's what's going on. So knowing yourself and learning about yourself and everything, that creates a hostile environment for them, because the less dense portions of your field you have, the less they're able to attach to you. So it's kind of like it's that weird catch-22 thing, where on one level they actually help us with the ascension process, because I can't ascend if I don't know that there's something in there. Like, I didn't know that I had my lab experiences and stuff like that. I had no idea. All that was very buried. And so I probably would have never known it. I knew something was not right ever since I was a kid. There's a lot of weird memories and stuff, and I thought I just had a really vivid imagination. And then my sister kind of kicked it off a couple of years ago, where she made a weird comment, my twin sister, and I was like, what? And then everything started kind of, and I saw some guy on, what was his name? Will something or other. He's not really a whistleblower. He's in the secret space program or whatever. I saw something on him and everything started kind of flooding in, but it was a blessing, because there was all this disassociation and there was all of these memories that were kind of stuck and were causing a lot of health issues for me that I didn't know they were there. So these things that were attached to me were actually pointing me in the right direction to understand that there was an emotional state there and there was a memory there that needed to be healed. How weird is that?
So it's all meant to be, and it's all a learning process, is what you're saying?
Yeah, isn't that awful?
It's weird how it always seems to come down to that.
Well, yeah, it is. And, honestly, I think that you can use anything to your advantage, meaning I don't know I know there's lots of mythology about where all this comes from. And I know that there's a lot of stories. And, I have my own personal opinions, and some people think they're literally all in your head. And that we who do this work are just psychically tuning in to the person's brain waves, and we're dealing with that. We're helping them with that. I personally I'm open to everything. I'm totally open to the possibility that this is just a big old hologram, and I'm like up there with a game controller eating a bunch of popcorn, like, I'm gonna win this thing. You know what I mean? I'm
totally
open to
resonate with that.
Right?
Yeah.
It makes sense sometimes when you see weird things happen, like so I don't know.
Well, I think we've covered a really, really strong amount of information and perspective. Especially, I'm really glad that you shared so much about your own discovery and your own, experiences with this, because it really helps to make it more relatable for the audience and for other people who perhaps are resonating and realizing and getting sort of twinges and hints as we're speaking, being like, oh, that might be something I need to look into. And if that was the case, and just to reiterate, and I'd like to wrap up today's video, but would you mind sharing where these people can go if they would like to seek further healing on this and information?
Sure. For my website, you can go to barbarabuck.org. It's that easy. Nice. So I don't have a ton of information on there. I have information pertaining to my own like sessions and things that I do. Like I said, I do a lot of healing work, but I also do a lot of intuitive development work. So that is helping you to recognize how you are perceiving information and how you're bringing information in, and helping you to deal with maybe some sensitivities that you're having. Most of my clients are sensitive people, so you can go there. If you want to know more about like the parasitic construct and that kind of thing, I highly recommend Lisa Renee's website, energeticsynthesis.com and ascensionglossary.com. Also, Eric Rains, unleashingnaturalhumanity.com. That's a fantastic website too. He's got a lot. He's got like, his blogs are like a book. He even describes all of the different types of like kind of races or whatever, of different types of entities and machines and AI and stuff that you find in the etheric realm that can attach to you. So that's a good website to get information as well.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing that all with us. I hope it's going to be helpful.
Did you even get to ask a question? Because I'm pretty sure I just talked the whole time.
I for sure got a couple questions in, to be fair. Did you want to say, we want to wrap up today's episode for sure, but is there anything that you'd like to specifically say you think the collective would benefit by, or be enlightened by, or shifted by, perhaps?
I think that it's really important, what we were talking about before, of kind of finding your team, finding your ascension team, if you will, and making sure that you are creating not only for yourself, and I don't just mean ascension team by other people. I mean like your ascension team, your connection to your higher power, your connection to your own personal kind of God self, and then also other people as well. But the most important thing is to really listen to your own heart and listen to your own guidance, and start working on that is always like the first step for me, because when you sit there and you listen to everybody else, it's so easy to be manipulated. And we're all unique individuals, and we all have our own specific reasons for being here and our own specific missions. And if you haven't thought about your mission here, the reason that you are watching Alexis is because you have a mission here. She's a mission waker upper person, okay? That's what she does. She wakes up starseeds. So if you are watching this right now, it's really important that you start thinking about that. And why am I here? Why am I here? It's not just to play video games and eat popcorn and know that you are a Blu-ray being. It's to actually do work to help humanity. So if I could say anything, it's start thinking about that. And doing your own self-work. That's huge.
And it's never too late to start.
I honestly, like I said before, I was a makeup artist for rock bands till I was 28 years old. And then I worked in retail for a while and stuff like that. I didn't even start doing healing work until I was in my 30s. And I didn't even start, doing this work until a couple of years ago, doing etheric clearings and things like that. And it changes all the time. So it's like, who knows what's next? You can start whenever. I've worked with people who never knew a thing about healing, and they actually learned how to become a healer when they were in their 60s. So you're right. It's never too late.
That's fantastic.
I know. It's better late than never.
It's true. And I find that it kind of gets to that point where people are intimidated to try and enter into such a field because they're like, wow, I don't have that type of experience. It's going to take me forever.
You. Look at Matt Mornian, okay? Mm-hmm. He just started doing healing 2 years ago. Look what an incredible, he's one of the only people that I allowed to work on me, and he's only been a healer for 2 years. He didn't know any of this stuff until 2 years ago. And he's like 40.
I missed it.
He's no spring chicken. I just want to share that with you.
It's true. Matthew is definitely, at least personally, the one healer I have been able to work with. But ironically, the times I've been in the physical with him, and I'm like, was hoping to get more of an energetic, session done, I've just been sort of not able to do it. And that's a weird thing personally. This sort of healing and this sort of stuff, I've always, as soon as I learned about it, I was like, I would love that. And I've just been kind of kept away from it in a weird way. Like,
interesting. I wonder why. Have you asked?
I haven't asked in particular because it's kind of like, okay, am I just waiting? Am I waiting for a particular practitioner? Am I supposed to do it myself? And I'm just kind of, I feel like those are all kind of options available. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure.
We can totally do one online if you want. Like, you can record it. I'll do a session for you.
I would love that.
We can just record it. You can record it if you want to. Because we do it. I just do it like I do everything digitally. So everything's online. I don't even see clients in person anymore because I have international clients. So I have an office. 95% of the people don't even live in the state. So.
Well, I mean, it's the same way for myself when I'm doing readings. It's just so nice to have the internet. But again, I'm really, really, really grateful. I'm definitely going to take you up on that offer. And I'm really grateful that you offered, and I really appreciate that. And I'm really grateful that you came on and shared your light with the audience that I've been able to bring in the community. So again, thank you for being here. And I think I'm going to wrap up.
Thank you for doing what you do. It's really important. Your work is really important because, like waking up to this stuff is really scary for people. And there's so much negative information out there, and there's so much unhelpful stuff. I mean, I hate to say it, I don't want to be judgmental of anybody, but when people come at this from a real fear perspective, it doesn't help anything, and you always move people away from that. You're always like, noodles, look, you know what I mean? It's really, really helpful because, also you're so honest about your own journey and how you're feeling, and that's really important that you're like that you don't try to cover it up and pretend like you've got all the answers, because none of us do. I'm 50 plus and I don't have any answers yet. So it's kind of like, I just really appreciate you.
Thank you. That's really, thank you very much.
You make it easier.
I figured it was nice because I did realize I was a younger member of this group and this community that I found my way in. So I was like, well, I mean, in a way, I don't have much mastery or anything to really claim on many levels. Would be like, well, I can really sit into my own naiveness in a way and just
think about it this way. It's not that there's anything that you're learning, you're just remembering. Mm-hmm. So, and when you've been here for longer, it's easier to remember. So when you think of it from that perspective, there's not really anything new you need to learn. You're just remembering what you already are. So some people remember faster than others, and maybe you're just somebody who's remembering faster, which makes you better.
I'm attempting to do my best. But I guess, yeah. Okay. All right. We got it. I want to talk to you honestly for another hour, but I know I'm trying to keep these podcasts between a certain time. So I want to say thank you all very much.
Such awesome people.
It's true. And I want to spend hours and days and weeks with everyone. I feel like it would just increase my vibe in my field and do so much work for my own health and be able to be helpful,
Yeah.
which is why I'm doing this, because I'm like, we got to at least start somewhere, and encouraging people to have these conversations. And so
Yeah.
again, thank you all very much for watching. We're going to wrap this one up for today. If you have any questions, I'm going to leave all of the links for everything in the description if you want to check them out for yourself. It would be great to hear what you have to say and your reflections on this too. So until next time, I love you all very much, and we'll be seeing you on the next video. Goodbye, everyone.